You look at Persona 3's cast, and there is a ton to like. Are there some anime cliches amongst them? Well, sure. The protagonist was orphaned 10 years ago as a result of a horrific, tragic accident involving a battle between this hip and swag incarnation of death and a humanoid robot weapon with machine guns. Notice how casual that sounded? Just standard fare for Japanese RPGs. Junpei is the dumb, brash, tough guy who is secretly insecure and jealous.
Are you okay?
Of course I am!
Who eventually suffers a tragic loss.
I'll always be with you.
Chidori, stay with me!
The C's leader, Misturu, identifies as an always composed, super mature 18-year-old who acts like she's 30, but hides a tragic childhood.
I wasn't trying to hide anything from you, it just never seemed relevant.
We've got Ken, the precocious orphan boy, whose maturity level is well beyond his years. And he's endured the tragic loss of a parent. Akihiko's only defining trait at first seems to be get stronger, but he is also overcompensating for the tragic loss of his sister. Shinjiro fills the mysterious anti-hero role.
Who do you think you are, dumbass?
And he appears to be all put together, but he is secretly dealing with his own tragic circumstances. Oh, God.
Okay. Look after him.
I'm belaboring the point, aren't I? You got me. Yukari, though, she bucks this trend. She's super spunky, upbeat, and filled with optimism.
My dad.
I love you, Yukari.
Yeah, that was obviously poorly chosen footage. She really does enjoy life, though. It's refreshing.
Gekkoukan is down! Alright, here's our chance for an all-out attack!
She's passionate for the cause, and we later find out she loathes Misturu and ends up doing this to make her see the light. Damn! Why is she so invested in this conflict? Oh, that's right. She had just recently viewed the heroic last moments of her father, working as a Kajiro employee and sacrificing himself to contain the shadows in what was probably the most tragic plot beat in this story.
As your father, I was never happier in my life than when I was with you.
Do any Japanese RPG characters have normal circumstances? It seems unacceptable for them to even have their parents alive. Or if they are, they're always portrayed in this negative light. Like Yukari's mom continuously chasing men around, fraying Yukari's relationship with her to almost nothing. Fuuka has both of her parents around, but they push her to hell and back with unrealistic expectations just because they aren't doctors like the rest of their family members. Wow! If there was a Japanese RPG character with a banally mundane backstory, would that stand out as being awesome? Or would that be just as uninteresting as it sounds? It's an almost unavoidable trope. On the second week of school, Yukari spills out this entire tragic dual backstory to the player.
My dad died in an accident when I was little.
Who does this right after meeting someone? They share a traumatic childhood, sure, but that doesn't give people a green light to gush it all out 10 days after introducing themselves.
You're all alone too, aren't you?
And this is after the protagonist just awoke in the hospital. It's like, oh, you're awake, thank goodness. Hey, our parents are both dead. How about that? Even Final Fantasy VII Remake greets this as the norm.
Are your parents still around?
No.
Okay then, guess you're all invited.
The most normal upbringing of a role-playing protagonist I can think of is, oddly enough, Earthbound, with Ness and his parents. And that's even with his dad only showing up during phone calls. His dad is represented by a telephone, and it's still the most normal depiction of parenting I can find in these games. And it's Earthbound. That's one of the most bizarre, what the hell is going on games in gaming history. Maybe I should do a review on that one day. So, yeah, there's cliches. However, the completely new ensemble of voice actors do a fantastic job at illustrating these characters at both their highest and lowest points. When Junpei screams in anguish upon Chidori's fate, it isn't melodramatic. You feel that for what it is.
Chidori!
A young man unjustly losing the only person he'd met up to that point, who actually gave him hope for finding a fulfilling relationship.
It's a detailed portrait of Junpei-san.
When Misturu gives orders, you get the sense that she truly is in charge.
Yamagishi, I need you to locate Aragaki and Amada immediately.
I'm on it.
After Ken finally exposes his past trauma in the epic showdown with Shinji, it's as if the voice actor has somehow experienced it for themselves.
You're just going to die? No matter what? That's not fair! This is all I've been living for! What was even the point then?
It's powerful stuff. The plot spikes stand out in large part because of the excellent VOA quality.
You've still got your whole life ahead of you, don't you, kid?
If you're nostalgic for the old voiceover crew, they're actually all still here, just in reduced capacities. Akihiko's now does Officer Kurosawa's voice, which actually makes a lot of sense. They're both all about the justice and stern nature thing.
Of course they do. Nothing in life is free.
I realize that.
Shinji's new guy is just awesome, with some great battle lines especially.
I'd expect nothing less.
We doing this?
But if you miss his former voice actor, you'll hear plenty of him anytime Mitsuru's dad is on screen. Again, the bitterness and restraint common to both makes this jive pretty well.
You accessed our database, didn't you?
Mitsuru's traditionally composed aura, brought to us formally by Terra Platt, now shows up as this eccentric, obsessive new accessory store owner.
The more I study, the more I realize there's so much I don't know.
A few of these are a bit weird, but not as weird as Yuri Lowenthal, the protagonist's old voice, now instead representing Yukari's dad.
Anyway, thanks for listening.
Moving on. It's almost like the original voice actors grew up and are now just standing proudly in the background while a new generation takes flight. Except for Shinji's dude. Man, that guy's gotta stop signing up for these roles. He just ends up getting shot over and over and over. Any veteran Persona fans? Did you miss the old voice cast? I'd love to hear your opinions. There's more voiceover in Reload as well, and that makes a huge difference. In the PS2 version, we generally had the same social links, but very little voice acting. Did you know that in the original release, the only fully voiced social link was death? It's true. Other than death, only the max level social links were supplied with voiceover. Since the C's squad were all fully voiced in every major scene, even back in 2006, it starkly contrasted to always having to read through the also ran social links, as if that part is just a bland graphic novel. Here, you get a dedicated actor for each of these important relationships to further immerse you in the many emotions that each of the individuals experience, whether it's the shady dishonesty of Tanaka,
very good. You're feigning interest well.
the gruff, sometimes drunken, but sincere monotone of the monk,
When I go home, I don't know what to do with myself. Oh, I just come here and drink every night.
or the genuine innocence and earnesty of a grade school kid.
Hey, what do you want to do next? It's your turn, okay? You get to pick.
Voice acting makes a difference. It ensures that the quality gap between your core party members and the fellow sojourners across the town is narrowed considerably, making the whole game world much more tightly knit and giving you more incentive to spend time with the community you'll be a part of for the next 100 hours. Given that there's tons of stressful situations,
My chest!
intense moments of conflict,
Wait, whoa, your hand! What the hell happened? You're bleeding!
What's wrong with you? Can't you mind your own business?
and situations that will either be awkward,
Who's that she's with?
He's just a kid. He must have misunderstood.
delightful,
I believe you. Which means I must work even harder.
or shockingly serious.
You don't think I'll ever hold a candle to my twin brother, do you?
The supporting NPCs are far better encapsulated here than they were in older Persona games.
Is this an emergency? A serious emergency?
And it makes sense. I mean, imagine if YouTubers only communicated via text boxes with only minor portrait changes and a small smattering of voice samples mixed in while you were there trying to get engaged in the content.
Listen. Thanks. So, please like and subscribe.
Doesn't quite have the same impact, does it? Seriously though, chatting with all you great fans about RPGs like the Persona series and Final Fantasy, it really makes me smile. So feel free to like and subscribe if you want to join our small community.
Continuing with this topic, actually hearing what someone's going through makes a lot of difference going through social links as emotional as these. When you converse on Sunday afternoons with a teenager who is facing his own soon approaching death, every hack, cough, and weary smile just stabs you in the heart.
Damn it. What did I do to deserve this body?
Yuko's actor nails the tomboyish gruffness that matches her role as training coach, especially when you progress to the stage when you're training young kids to be track stars.
I'm your coach now, so you stop running when I tell you to stop.
And then it softens up as you go even further, and she confides her hopes, dreams, and insecurities to the protagonist.
Those are my true feelings, and I hope you feel the same.
If you stick with Bebe's story until the end, you get over what initially feels like a high-pitched, overexcited for the sake of it voice.
Japanese sweets are très oishi. Japanese culture is so fascinating.
And realize that this guy really does love Japan, even overcoming an abusive uncle in an attempt to stay there.
If I return to my own country now, I would never forgive myself. I want to stay here, in Japan, even if I have to eat dirt.
There's so many more examples too, across so many social link characters. Please stay tuned for an in-depth talk about each of them. But if you're new to the Persona series and in-depth development of the cast is what you really like, then don't even think twice. Buy Reload immediately. Do it!
Even the also-ran characters have their own fully developed character arcs. I'm serious, there's this high school girl who's really into this guy, but he literally decides the best course of action is stringing her along before she realizes he has no personality because he missed every chance he had to talk to her. And before long, he's stalking her, leering at her from the station catwalks and being a creep. Even after it's obvious she is long passed over him. A precocious kid is constantly frustrated with the styles of her teacher, not understanding their methods and wild swings of enthusiasm and boredom at all, before finally piecing it all together at the end. And most prominently, we have the shy man and calm woman. He's a typical wussy guy who won't ever say or do anything to make the relationship prosper, yet this calm, steady woman is there with him, on that same bench, every day, just accepting whatever he says. Until finally she doesn't, and he's freaking out. But this time, love prevails. And even the coming of Nyx doesn't seem to interrupt their day-to-day. While others are freaking out about the end of the world or joining cults, they're just zoned in on that bench as the winter approaches. I could go on and on, like detailing the epic story of this stray cat, which a young boy desperately wants to take in, but I'll cut it here. Just Keep your eyes open for all these cool mini-stories as you go through the game. It truly helps strengthen the overarching narrative, especially as the stakes raise.
What really makes Reload stick its landing when it comes to character development, though, are all the extras thrown in.
While adhering to an exclusively male, heterosexual protagonist means no romantic social links with the fellow young men, the game still gives you added avenues to bond with each of them. In these added sub-stories, you help Akihiko defend himself from punks on the street, and subsequently learn about why Aki strives so hard to be as strong as he is, given the dark, otherwise rarely touched on memories involving his sister, and subsequent failures to protect those he cares about. You'll see a real soft-heartedness behind his stoic manner when he donates his family foodstuffs to the party and finds meaning behind this medal from his past.
This medal doesn't really belong to anyone. It's from a long time ago.
Shinjiro gets some much-needed moments of humor, as he does everything to hide the fact that he enjoys cooking shows, adores Koromaru, and is willing to share his skills and begrudging respect with the hero. Shinji's interactions really stand out to me, and Atlas did a fantastic job on expanding him during his brief time as a main party member. Even gardening with him, he takes that senpai mantle seriously, giving sound advice, which he rarely sees the need to do. You're able to better explore Shinjiro's inner psyche, understanding the turmoil he faces, whether or not he should return to school and fulfill his friendship obligation with Aki and Misturu, against his grim reality that constantly reminds him that whether he does nothing or everything he can, it's not really going to matter in the end.
Since it's you, I guess I'll say it. I ain't gonna live much longer.
I can't imagine going through this, but the game gives us a bleak picture of what it might be like. At this point, when the protagonist gets a choice whether or not he should convince Shinji to return to school, I honestly thought there was a path where his fate could be altered, or at least have his role in the plot extended.
Damn, you really don't mince your words, do you?
This is a possibility in P3 Portable with a female protagonist, which I know many fans are miffed isn't included here, so I was bummed out to find that nothing changes, regardless of your choice. But at the time, it felt like a weighty decision. Ken looks up to the protagonist as a role model, and it's adorable to hear his childlike wonder sneak through as he rambles about Phoenix Featherman R, finding out that he named his pet hamster Hamburger, or when he gushes about how awesome that high-octane superhero movie was.
That was so cool! Did you see the part where Amoeba Man gets captured? And then the part where he was in the underground prison but used Morse code to call for help, and how they had him tied up, but he managed to shoot out a laser beam just in the nick of time, and then the bad guys...
Just as it's admirable how far he's willing to go, like investigating that bar in a dark alley just to find a thank you gift. Seeing the training sessions between Ken and the hero secures the idealization he has for the player character. And as a gamer, it helps build a sense of obligation to train and safeguard this kid, who deserves a shot at a happier life. It even provides some pretty good life advice in general.
I've made so many memories, both fun and difficult ones. But I feel like living means carrying it all with you and moving forward.
Learn from everything and then just go. It's only bad if we linger on a memory for too long. And that's true for everyone, regardless of age.
Even the suspiciously friendly Ikutsuki shines, with tons of puns that even grade school children would cringe and roll their eyes at.
You'll get used to his lame jokes.
Well then, shall we end this meeting?
What?
You know, because it's the weekend.
Shall we end the meeting?
Shall we end? Get it?
That doesn't even make sense. You aren't even keeping the words in their natural form, so this isn't even qualified as a pun anymore. My favorite is the command room video.
The monorail. I bet this subject would make a good one-liner.
Oh God, whoa.
The engine. That was an ingenious move. What is it with me today? I'm on a roll.
He really truly thinks he's funny. You gotta give it to him.
I should write all these down and show them off the next time everyone gets together.
Ikutsuki is all revved up to impress teenagers with this. And this is just the beginning, the first step. Oh, he's gonna go to comedy night at the bar, and then Ikutsuki's gonna go on a Japan-wide tour of shows, comedy shows, just doing all these puns and creating a millionaire lifestyle based on it.
Don't care for seafood? They also serve ground beef.
The guy can't make a good joke to save his life, but I think that makes him almost likable. It's just that...
Yes, I was chosen. I'm going to be the god of the new world!
Yeah, pretty harsh contrast there. It's a good reminder that we should never assume anything about anyone.
Finally, Ryoji gets his own sequence of private conversations with the hero. What begins as such a mundane, awkward experience, where the two of them haul boxes to a storage room, and Ryoji feebly tries to impress the protagonist with, this. Oh, God. That was sad. It eventually becomes evident that, as death itself had lived inside the protagonist, he's developed a much closer bond to what living is, even showing concern for people like Junpei in a way no one else seems to have noticed.
Feels like he's forcing himself. I can see a hint of sadness when I look into his eyes.
The flourishing piano melody later on represents this much deeper understanding of the flow of life. As he also references in your final relaxing moments with him during the school trip. In what's probably the most introspective and philosophical social link in the game, Ryoji struggles contemplating what the point of creating bonds with people is, when none of them can ever last anyway.
For each person you connect with, it just makes saying goodbye that much harder. So, what's the point?
No matter what response you give, he isn't convinced that there's a single right answer, and maybe that's the point. What do any of us know about how life starts and ends? They reward the player all the way to the end with the distance they go with this one.
Let's not forget the women.
You didn't forget, did you?
Each of them are fantastic role models for young players, showing courage, gentle humanity, and fierce leadership, even though those elements are in different amounts within each. Much respect for all three.
Persona.
Does Igus count? It's just another one of those bizarre Japanese RPG things, isn't it?
Regardless, whether or not you go for the full romance route, or keep the relationships completely platonic, the game provides you with satisfactory build-ups to each of the female party members.
Thank you.
Which wasn't the case in the original. You were forced to either date everyone in order to max the social links, which makes the protagonist look like a manipulative, egotistical scum of the earth, which still kind of shows up here.
You deserve some time together?
But not in an overly exposed way, thanks to Junpei.
Whoa, that display over there looks like it can fall over any moment now. Someone's gonna get hurt if we don't fix it right now. Like, right now.
I just love that line reading. He gives so much extra enthusiasm to the most banal detail possible in an attempt to deter attention away from the protagonist.
Someone's gonna get hurt if we don't fix it right now. Like, right now.
Never thought I'd praise Junpei, of all people. But in the old game, if you didn't want this to blow up, you had to stop your social link halfway through before it leveled up to romance, so that you didn't cause the links to be reversed or otherwise negatively impacted with the core girls. It's so much better here, and it paints a much better picture of Atlas as a whole. You don't have to be invested in a romantic relationship with someone in order to fully understand and appreciate them. This way, you will be able to slowly, painfully, and with amazing courage deal with Fuuka's awful cooking and be that consistent, supportive friend she has been seeking for so long, even if cats themselves flee at the sight of her handiwork. It's cool how she's able to build and construct stuff, even a new pair of headphones for the hero, but is, at first, pretty useless at skills that females traditionally practiced in the past. You'll learn when to hug Yukari and when not to be a sexist prick.
What's that supposed to mean? So what if I'm a girl?
And if successful, you'll slowly break down her huge, understandably high wall of defenses, given her mother's past, and convince her that, yes, it's okay to have to rely on others from time to time.
And Misturu, as we all expected, simply confesses her love for the hero.
I said that's enough! I won't let you insult him!
In front of this pretentious prick.
If you insult him, you insult me!
In broad daylight.
You can't compare to him at all!
At a public movie theater.
I want to be with him. Now and forever.
Yeah, I was as surprised as a lot of you were. I expected Misturu to be last in line when it comes to confessing such a deep, sacred, private emotion. But that's what I love about the climaxes of all these social links. They're so unpredictable, and it makes you really want to get to the culmination of each one to see how it finishes up.
It's not just these fully fleshed out social links either. You're granted many more opportunities to just hang out with the crew at the dormitory. It's moments like Misturu confiding that she struggles with presenting an approachable demeanor while preparing tea for you, how she finds herself joining the masses with the temptation of fast food, Akihiko accidentally showing you footage of his rookie boxing bouts, and the mini study group sessions where unexpected revelations and tidbits of character growth pour out. There's even some bizarre humor here, like when Junpei is obsessed with this pencil and eraser. What the hell?
What's the big deal? It's just an eraser.
And eraser's corners are a special privilege reserved for the owner. A precious and fleeting source of euphoria.
Make some time for them one-on-one, and you'll get surprised by the fact that Junpei actually does read something, even if it's manga. Speaking of education, the school system setup Persona 3 presents you with brings up mini lectures about a myriad of topics. It's completely redone from the old game too, so even if you have an eidetic memory, you won't know the answers this time around. You'll brush up on grammar conventions, understand the relationship between electricity and resistance, and investigate the social disparity that a feudalistic system of government creates. But they cannot compare to these intimate, one-on-one, book club-style interactions.
They are so thought-provoking. They delve into the minutiae of the human social condition, specifically highlighted in Aigis' book and her specific obsession with the human ass.
The main character says, that ass better not crack under pressure. Usually, people's asses are already cracked. Yours is as well, right?
The dialogue options are just mint. This doesn't have to be expanded upon. It's just 10 out of 10. A winner is you. This is the epitome of Persona 3 humor. There's just something about that deadpan delivery.
Usually, people's asses are already cracked.
The utter seriousness of Aigis' question and the subsequent responses you can pick from. Oh man. If you want something more emotionally substantial and less juvenile, you'll find it in the comfy, serene feeling that envelops you as you just spend time relaxing and combing Koromaru's fur, which expands into added bonus interactions that spring up between any of your social links whenever you take the cute pup out for a walk. The immersiveness comes in many different forms, be it humorous, heart-to-heart, or tragic, but all of it makes its mark on players' memories. Quality of life improvements, like the rewind feature, are a blessing. It makes it so you can freely charge through some social links. And if you're not satisfied with the decisions you made, you don't have a million save slots one day apart on the go. You can just rewind and make sure to do it better next time, which means you progress through the stories with consistency and are able to see the conclusions of more social links, even on your first playthrough.
Wouldn't this be amazing to have in real life?
Just imagine that power to be able to rewind something after screwing up royal, stupidly spilling and the subsequent swearing, all just magically repaired as if nothing ever happened.
But really, if we think about it, rewinding our lives would mean never learning what went wrong, because we'd go to the moment before the mistake happens. So we'd never learn and grow, because every time we'd make even one error, we'd just go back and erase it until we make a mistake again. For all we know, we'd be perfect, but unable to handle the slightest criticism. Maybe life's perfect the way it is.
The best part? All of this added attention you bathe your comrades in creates real improvements in their abilities, buffing their potentials with substantial upgrades that make every one of your favorite party members shine in combat. This wasn't in the original, and these are not tiny boosts either. Having Yukari's SP cost reduced by tons for her healing moves enables you to go all out on offense with the other characters, knowing she can use her party heal skills without breaking a sweat. You spend time with people, and, much like life, the game rewards you for it. Atlus did a fantastic job here by putting more focus on the people who star in the game, which is Persona 3's greatest asset.
It just makes sense. An RPG that stands the test of time does so because of its lovable characters.
So, you keep exactly those ingredients that make the characters shine, and you add more scenes so that fans have even more to enjoy, with voice acting that helps emote a greater bond between the protagonist and the world of characters that exist outside of all the dungeon crawling.
Young people always think the grass is greener on the other side.
There's no shortage of camaraderie bonding in Reload's arsenal, and the more you invest yourself in it, the better the payoff, whether it's in combat enhancements or just a comfy, healthy feeling when those moments arrive that involve the entire party, and especially when you reach the conclusion and interact with your favorite people one final time. Whether it's a comrade you met at school, a romantic interest you decided to invest in, a goodbye said in person or through a handwritten letter, you end the game feeling that the events that took place mattered, and that's the sign of a well-constructed cast of characters.
That's just one of the many reasons to invest your time into this dungeon-crawling social simulator. What are your thoughts? Did Reload give due justice to the game that put Persona on the map? Or did Atlus make some missteps? Please let me know, and thank you for tuning in to Gaming Introspection. Take care of yourselves, gamers. It is always good to see ya.